How do you want this done, Ollie? You want her to repeat the question?
Yeah,
or at least in some way reference it.
right, some way reference it, like, you know, when he asks you your name, my name is.
Do you need to sit down and take this?
No, you can sit down, sir, because he's going to look at you.
I'm going to look at you?
Yeah. That whole, like, professional media crap he does.
Seeing it.
Is this chair enough?
Yeah, just don't, like, lean back on it. Makeup!
You're fine. Just zip your top up.
Where's the makeup crew?
Alright. I'm just checking it.
Okay. What's your name, rank, and job?
My name is Captain Christine Ledford, and I'm the Delta Company Commander.
Do you have a family?
Well, I am not married, but I do have a family.
Okay.
I have my dog, and my boyfriend, and my mom and dad.
Okay. What's your function in the tent? No, you already wanted that. What'd you do to prepare your company section, or your company for the deployment?
What did I personally do? Well, a lot of the training was mandated by division and battalion, or brigade and battalion, so there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of time for us to do individual training. And just the fact that we're an aviation unit maintenance company, we pretty much do what we do year-round, every day, so.
That's good. How did you prepare yourself mentally for the deployment?
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to think about it, and that was probably the best thing.
Oh, okay. What type of training was going on during the 2-minute drill at Grafenwehr before we deployed?
Well, for us, it was really, you know, it was the standard stuff, aircraft maintenance, and then in addition to that, we did, we were doing a lot of CTT training. We did a live fire. I think that was about it.
Okay. Deployment to Kuwait. What was the flight over here like?
The flight over actually was really nice, very well done. We had I don't remember what airline it was.
I think it was American, but I can't remember.
Yeah, and they had it all decorated and little letters from kids and stuff like that. It was really nice. Last taste of freedom.
What were the challenges you faced as a leader once you got on the ground in Kuwait?
I think really just being pulled in 10 different directions, you know, trying to do RSOI stuff, trying to do aircraft maintenance, you know, and the biggest thing that probably taxed us most was just the weather. You know, so it just took so much out of everybody.
So how were the living conditions?
Udari, it definitely could have been worse, but I think yeah, I know. The thing about Udari was just, the heat was just like nothing I think any of us had ever experienced. And so that really brought a lot of suck factor to Udari.
How did reality compare to your expectations?
Well, I really, you know, I kind of wondered, you know, I knew that the war was kind of drawing down as we were getting there, so, you know, I didn't really know what to expect. I'd never been on a major deployment before. I never did a Kosovo or anything like that, so, you know, I really didn't know what to expect, and I think that probably brought a little bit of anxiety, you know, for everyone, I think.
Yeah. During the deployment to Dubai, what was the convoy like?
I think the convoy was probably now, I don't have children yet, but I'm convinced that the convoy was worse than giving birth to a child. It was the absolute worst 30 hours of my entire life. It was horrible.
Why?
It was, I mean, just the heat was just unreal, and then being in a, you know, I was in a Humvee, and of course you have your Kevlar on, and your flak vest, and your BDUs, and then just the rest stops, we weren't really keeping on track with when we were supposed to be at rest stops, so you know, we were absolutely exhausted, and it was mostly the heat and the dust. It was just horrible.
Okay. Once we got the buy-up and we set up operations, how difficult was it to get your company set up as far as like living and once we could work 100%?
Yeah, it was really. Do you mean the piece like the rip while the other unit was still here?
Yeah, to get fully set up.
It was really frustrating because, you know, a lot of our mail vans, actually none of our mail vans were here yet, so, you know, we were trying to operate, you know, at 100%, and we only had about maybe, I'd say 30% of our equipment. In addition to that, the aircraft parts that was a major challenge for us, and that was continued to be, you know, throughout our whole year here.
Yeah. So you weren't getting the supply that you needed, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, how'd that affect morale?
Well, I think at that point, you know, people were still had that initial like excitement about coming and going to war and, you know, getting to do what we've trained to do for so long. That morale really at that point wasn't too bad. I think a lot of the command was pretty frustrated, but the soldiers were still pretty excited about being here, and it was new still, and so, you know, it wasn't too bad.
How'd you deal with the high pace of operation?
Just tried to keep our head above the water, really. I mean, a lot of trying to keep the soldiers focused on, you know, the big picture, and that, you know, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Because, I mean, there's just a point where, you know, it was so hard to imagine, you know, being here another 6 months, and, you know, we basically exist in like 100 square meter, you know, area. So, you know, after a while it's like Groundhog Day, and you just see the same thing over and over again. So, you know, that was hard.
So, what were the living conditions like?
Once we got kind of set up and moved in here, that actually was probably difficult. The most difficult part for the soldiers was that we moved so many times when we got here. You know, we started out in the hangar next door, and then moved over here, and we were living like, you know, kind of like squatters basically. And then we had to move again. We moved back here, and then, you know, they wanted us to move back to the tents. And at that point, you know, people just, they had such a small piece of real estate to call their own, you know, and that was really hard for them, I think.
Go ahead, give me a break for a minute.
Okay. Wait. Okay. During your flights over Baghdad, what was it like flying over Baghdad?
Well, you know, again, being in my first like combat, you know, deployment, I really didn't know what to expect as far as, you know, being a pilot, being a front seater, and, you know, so it was really interesting in one part of it, you know, to see what downtown Baghdad was like, and, you know, to see how different these people lived, you know, to how we lived. And then the other aspect of it was, you know, just wondering if, you know, somebody's tracking me with an RPG, you know, or whatever. So, you know, that definitely upped the anxiety there too.
What was the most dangerous thing you did while you were during the deployment?
Went to command and staff every Friday.
No.
No. I think probably a couple DART missions. I went on a couple DART missions with my guys, and, you know, being in a UH-60, I mean, I think that the Apaches, we haven't gotten targeted as much as the 60s have, and so I think that was probably where I felt the most danger.
Okay. What did you gain from the experience?
Gosh, it's really hard to put what I've gained into words. You know, it's been, without getting too, emotional. It's been a really a test of my own willpower, and as a commander, I think the thing that's been difficult is to keep my own motivation and spirits up, and in addition to that, keep 80 other soldiers motivated, and help them through the worst part of the deployment, when everything just seems like we do the same stuff over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a true test of my, I think, mental kind of motivation capacity.
Okay. During the redeployment, what did you need to do to get ready to redeploy?
To redeploy,
You can look forward a little bit on this.
yeah, there was a lot of, I think I sent home like 6 foot lockers full of stuff I've acquired out here. I don't know how, it's just acquired a lot of stuff over the last year. And that's like as far as personal stuff goes. For the unit, my company, my guys they've been great. I mean, of course, everybody's really excited to get out of here. So, the energy level is definitely peaked. And as far as packing stuff goes, we've had to pack up the mill vans, but we have to keep focused on the mission because we're still doing the mission. So, I've kind of had to help my guys, prioritize things.
Yeah.
And that's been difficult, but they all want to go home. So
What's it feel like to know we're so close to going home?
it's surreal. I mean, I can't. I just walked into projection control this morning, and we started packing up our computers, and and I can't even. It's just not registering to me. I don't think until I step off the plane in Germany,
Yeah.
That it'll really register.
What's the morale like now that we're close to leaving?
I mean, there's such a huge difference between now and maybe a month, as little as a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially when the guys start seeing us packing and packing up mill vans and stuff. I think it's really starting to register for them that we are actually going to leave here.
Yeah. But during the redeployment, what do you think is going to be your biggest challenge?
I think we're at it right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is just trying to do everything all at once. Keep up the missions, keep up, do the RIP with First Cav,
Mm-hmm.
and pack. It's I think it's definitely the most challenging time for us.
Okay. You don't have to answer any of this stuff as far as personal stuff.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm probably not going to answer it because I don't know, I'm not married or anything.
Uh-huh.
But just on what are you going to do when you get back to the world?
Like back to Germany?
The world.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, I'm gonna sleep in my own bed. The biggest thing I joke about with the other commanders and stuff is the first night that I'm home, I plan on doing everything that I could not do here. So I thought I would sit on the toilet without desanitizing it first, while checking my email, while talking on the phone, while drinking a beer, and surfing the web for porn.
Okay. All right, that's it.
All right.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Yeah, that's going to be
Totally.
pretty cool. Your name, rank, and job.
My name is Staff Sergeant Eric Kiefer. I'm the Armament Platoon Sergeant, 1st and 501st Attack. I'm currently deployed to Baghdad.
What's your function in the battalion?
I'm the senior enlisted Armament NCO in the battalion.
What did you do to prepare your section for the deployment?
Lots and lots of field training, lots of time at GRAF, and just basically called upon my experience at the National Training Center, JRTC, things like that.
What did you guys think of the ranges as far as like the 249 and 15 and 50 cal?
Everybody who got the fire loved them. They just wish there were more of them, so everybody could have gotten to go out and actually qualify. But everybody had a good time at the ranges, especially up at Butler Ranch. They were great.
Oh, all right. What was the flight like going to Kuwait from Germany?
Wrong person to ask that because I was on C-141
Oh,
at the
really?
time. So
Oh.
it was. Are you talking about on the deployment?
Yeah.
On the deployment, no, it wasn't too bad. Kind of crowded, of course, but everybody was a little anxious. But other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Pause it. He's got okay, like once you got here, what were the challenges that you faced as soon as you got on the ground in Kuwait?
As soon as we hit the ground in Kuwait, we had to deal with the loading of all 19 aircraft at that point in time. They were spread out over a flight line that was about 2 kilometers long, and we had to upload 144 missiles, several hundred rockets, and several thousand rounds of 30 millimeter into the fleet. That dealing with the heat, the sandstorms, and all the other niceties that come with being in a desert in Shabal season.
So, what were the living conditions like, and how did it affect morale?
Living conditions when we first got to Kuwait were actually better than I thought they were going to be. We had tents to live in, which was nice. It was hot. The heat definitely wore people down. Morale, I think everybody just wanted to get the job done. I don't think it was affecting the morale too much at that point in time. And once we knew we were getting ready to roll north, obviously different challenges with the convoys and stuff like that.
How did reality compare to what you expected?
Reality in Baghdad. I think a lot of us were expecting to still be fighting the war and be jumping from place to place. Reality was we came to one spot and pretty much stayed here, apart from some missions to other places. It's been a pretty sedentary mission for us, and that's been a blessing because everybody expected to be jumping all over the desert. All things considered, we'll take what we have.
Yeah. What was the convoy like coming up here?
The convoy north was an experience hope we never experience again. It was long. It was long. Long is the best word I can describe that convoy with. A lot of stops. We were just getting our feet underneath us as far as convoy operations. So, we made it here without a hitch. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got lost or anything like that. So it was a successful convoy, but it was still long.
All right. How difficult was it to get set up once you got here?
Once we arrived at Baghdad, we had to set up around 3rd Infantry was getting ready to leave. So they were occupying some of the space that we wanted to move into, and it's the same thing now that we're getting ready to go home. We're trying to make space for the new guys coming in. Once 3rd Infantry was actually gone, occupying this big hangar here was pretty nice. And it's a decent facility for the people to live in, and it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. How do you guys, armament being like one of the pivotal maintenance issues as far as the guns and the sighting systems and whatnot, how did you deal with the high-pace operations?
Well, we, excuse me, I basically split my platoon into 2 sections, one covering days, one covering nights, and we run 24-hour operations 7 days a week. Excuse me. And I've got a lot of experienced people. Brother, it's a swallow of sand fly. A lot of experienced people who have been at this job for a long time. The guys who are out there turning the wrenches and chasing the sparks, they're the heroes in my platoon, for sure.
What did you gain from the whole experience?
Well, the experience goes without saying that the lessons we learned here we'll be able to pass on to the units that come in and back of us, and also we'll carry with us for the next time we deploy to someplace like this.
God forbid.
God forbid. But I think, all things considered, everybody can expect another 2 or 3 here in their future. So the lessons we learned here will be invaluable for us when we come back out next time.
What do you need to do to get ready to redeploy?
Well, we have to get all the aircraft to stop flying long enough for us to stop working on them. Preparation to go home is tedious. The customs inspections are pretty rough. We have all the vehicles prepared to get ready for the convoy. We've got all the aircraft to get ready for the move south. Plus, once we get down south into Kuwait, we've got all the preparation for the aircraft to go one way and the trucks to go another. The next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be very hectic. Probably the most, oddly enough, the last time we're going to be here is going to be the most most hectic pace we deal with the whole time we've been deployed.
Yeah, how do you think it's affecting morale, knowing we're so close to leaving?
I think morale is pretty high right now. We had a couple of dips during the middle when the temperatures were god awful, and when it seemed like there was no end in sight, but now there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think everybody's gearing up. My whole platoon volunteered to stay as a group together to get the mission done, as opposed to sending folks home on the ad bond or anything like that. So we know there's a mission, but everybody we can taste it. Everybody they can smell Germany from here.
Yeah.
They want to go home.
Well, what's the greatest thing you've gained from this experience?
Appreciation for the family that my platoon is, my company is. We've been through a lot together. My platoon, armament platoons are notorious for being very tight, and we've been very tight out here the whole time. I've grown to appreciate outside of the military my family, my wife and kids who've supported me through this, and they've dealt with the hardships of being alone for the last year. And without their support, it's really, really tough. And I know that's the same way for just about everybody over here who's got family back home. And the support from back home has been something you didn't necessarily count on, but now that once you see it and you've got it, you couldn't imagine not having it. So it's been a key.
Yeah. How does your wife feel about the deployment?
Well, she'd rather I was home with her, but she knows I've got a job to do. She knew that from day one when we got married. And, she would rather, of course, she even volunteered to come over here as a tech rep for one of the civilian contractors. I told her no. But she's prior service military, so she knows what deployments are about. And she knows in my position in Battalion there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I had to come. And I'll probably be one of the last folks leaving, and she's aware of that, and she's been totally supportive. She wants me to get my butt in the plane and go home as fast as possible, but she knows I got a job over here, and I got to stay until it's time.
I've already asked that. Okay, all right, that's it. Thanks, man. I didn't, I hate.
My name is Specialist Michael McCoubery, 15 X-ray armament and electrical repair.
Okay, what's your function in the battalion?
Work on armament and electrical systems for the AH-64 Alpha Apache.
Okay, do you have a family?
Yes, I do. I have a wife and a daughter.
Oh, okay. What did you do to prepare yourself for the deployment?
Mentally, it was very challenging. Just had to realize that this was my job and prepare myself as best I could to come out here.
What type of training were you doing during the pre-deployment phase, such as a 2-minute drill at Graf?
I don't remember. I know we did the NBC training at Poland and just working on helicopters all the time.
Obviously it was pretty hard to say goodbye to your family. What were the last few weeks like?
Very difficult. My daughter had just been born in January before we deployed, and it was very difficult leaving her.
Yeah. Deployment to Kuwait, what was the flight over here like?
It was interesting. It was kind of like going into a place that you didn't know, not really sure what to expect. So we, I don't know how to put it. We were excited a little bit and kind of saddened.
Yeah. How are the living conditions once you got here?
When we first got here, they weren't all that great, but over time they improved quite a bit.
Okay. During the convoy up to Bayat, you crossed over 500 miles in a 30-hour period through a wartime Iraq. What was that like?
I don't know. I flew on a Chinook up here.
All right. Okay. What was morale like, and what were living conditions once you got up to Bayat?
Morale was, I would say morale was kind of in the middle. It was a new place, new experiences. We were really kind of excited to get here. Living conditions weren't all that great, living in an open hangar. But like I said, everything kind of improved once we got settled in.
Okay. How did you deal with the high pace of operations?
It was challenging, but at the same time rewarding. We really got to do our job Really got to learn a lot about the aircraft, seeing stuff that we'd never seen before.
Okay. What did you gain from the experience?
Technical knowledge on the aircraft. Just learned a great deal about the aircraft stuff that I didn't know before.
Okay. Preparing for the redeployment, what do you need to do to get ready?
Just packing up, cleaning up, and getting ready to go home.
Yeah. How's it feel knowing you're so close to going home?
Joyous. I'm really excited to get home and see my family.
Yeah. What's morale like now that we're so close to leaving?
Really, really good in my opinion. Really excited to get out of here.
Any of these, you don't have to answer them. It's about your family. What are you going to do when you get back to the world? Or what? I don't like asking questions sort of like, what do you plan? Because it sort of sets you up for failure. But if everything goes well and you get home, what do you plan on doing?
I plan on meeting my wife's parents. I haven't met them yet.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and going to go and visit my mother and my sisters.
How'd your wife feel about the deployment?
She used to be in the Army, so she understood that it was my job. She's been very supportive the entire time I've been out here.
What's the greatest experience that you had during the whole deployment?
I can't think of one.
All right, that'll work. Appreciate it, man.
No problem.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And relax.
Go ahead and start off with your name, rank, and job.
I'm Specialist Gregory Horn, and I'm 15 X-ray.
Okay, so what's your function in the battalion?
I work on Apache armament, electrical repair. I work on the Kaz Purpose on the helicopter.
Okay, could you speak up just a little bit? It's just on a mic right there. How'd you... Yeah, huh?
Get a little closer, please, Corn.
Okay.
Okay, stand by. All right, go for it. That's good.
How'd you prepare yourself mentally for the deployment?
Prepare myself mentally by. I really don't have an answer for that, but I went to GRAF. I went to one gunnery, and I mentally prepared myself by playing any Army game on a computer I could possibly could.
Yeah.
That was my way of being motivated and making playing music.
Okay, what do you think of the training you guys were doing as far as like the ranges, 249, and the stuff we did at GRAF?
It was quite a learning experience for me, especially going to the range. It was quite different because it wasn't desert like the range here.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot about the weapon.
As far as when we were at Kuwait, what were the living conditions like?
In Kuwait, the living conditions were. When we first got there, it was very hot, and the buses had no air conditioning in them whatsoever. But at least we had tents, and at least there was a possibility of communicating with our family.
Did you convoy up here?
Yeah.
Okay. Once we got to BIAP, what was it like coming up to full operations, and what was the living conditions like?
Coming up to BIAP, in my opinion, it was quite crowded. Actually, I was glad that we had the nicer hangars than just living in Kuwait in tents. Living in the hangars, at least we were protected compared to some of the Third ID soldiers that were here that probably lived elsewhere, and it was pretty crowded with them here and us coming in here at the same time. Well, I was just glad to finally get adjusted to the environment.
Okay.
It was quite hard.
As far as the weather, I mean, what was it like in June, July, and August?
June, July, and August, I'd say it was about 130 degree weather. I adjusted to the weather as best I could. I wanted to find a fan somewhere. I finally found a fan. Finally we got ACs in here and everything, and the chow hall became built, so we the morale got boosted as the chow hall got built.
Yeah. What are you having to do to prepare to redeploy?
Well, I'm getting my stuff packed up. I'm keeping everything to myself, not releasing any information to anybody. I'm making sure that however I'm going to get back, which I don't know yet, it's going to be the best experience of my life, seeing Iraq in a rearview mirror.
Yeah. Well, on that note, what's it feel like to know you're so close to going home?
It is an experience that I've never experienced before. Being this far away, I've never been this far away from home, and I just can't imagine. I just can't wait to get back home and be able to use the funds I have.
Yeah. What's morale like now that we're so close to going home?
The morale's a lot better. Stuff doesn't sink in, and when something happens or something is bad, it's not like going back and thinking, oh wow, we got another 6 months here, even though this has happened. It's more like next week we're possibly gone.
Yeah, awesome. You don't have to answer any of this stuff if you don't to. It's about your family. Do you have a family?
Yes, I have 2 daughters in California. My mother resides in Virginia, and my mother's in Virginia, and it's the same place I had AIT.
Oh yeah. What are you gonna do if everything goes well and we go ahead and get back to the world?
I plan on continuing with my hobby with guitar. I plan on pursuing NCO as rank as E5 sergeant or warrant officer if scores add up to good enough. So.
Okay. What's the greatest thing that you've gained from this experience? What's your most fondest memory?
Most fondest memory is when we got ACs here. When we were starting to get the air conditioners,
Yeah.
and we were getting, when the chow hall opened up, when we started having actors visiting, and my picture with Robin Williams.
Oh yeah. You met Robin Williams? How was he?
He's quite funny.
Yeah. So he's pretty cool to you.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. That's it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right. You gotta turn the camera on first.
That works.
What's your name, rank, and job?
It's Sergeant Timothy J. Stromsut. I'm structural repair, 15 Gulf.
Okay. So what's your function in the battalion?
My function is battalion. Pretty much any stress cracks, bullet holes, possibly we repair them.
Okay. Do you have a family?
Yes, I do. I have a wife and a daughter.
Okay. What'd you do to prepare yourself for the deployment?
Oh, I don't know. I just try to make sure that my wife and family were taken care of when I knew I was coming out here.
Okay. You just watching? Okay. What'd you do to prepare yourself mentally for the deployment?
Mentally, I was ready for this for a long time. I know that sounds vain, but I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah. Okay. What type of training were we doing as far as the pre-deployment? Were you here during pre-deployment?
Well, I did my own pre-deployment because I didn't get here I didn't leave at the same time as you guys did. But we did the IRT down in Wiesbaden, and we pretty much that was it.
What was that like?
Touch-ups on a lot of stuff, making sure we knew what to do with our weapons and movements and under attack, things like that.
Okay. As far as your family, I mean, obviously it was hard to say goodbye. What were the last couple of weeks like?
The last couple of weeks, just trying to do as much as I could with them, trying to spend as much time as possible, and making sure that they were going to be okay without me.
Okay. As far as the living conditions here, once you got to buy it, what was it like?
A lot better than I expected it to be.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was expecting the absolute worst.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm not complaining.
So where do they got you guys staying?
I'm living right here in this tent right here, inside the hangar.
How did you feel morale was like in the unit during the operation?
It was up and down. Mostly, it was good though.
Okay. What was it like dealing with the heat in the peak of the summer?
It's tough. I don't know. It's hard to get through the heat sometimes, but it was. I mean, what can we do about that, right?
Yeah. How did you deal with the high pace of operations?
I don't know. I just did. Maybe you know more on that, or
Okay. What'd you gain? What was the greatest thing you gained? You felt you gained from the experience?
Training my soldiers to do what they're supposed to do in a situation like this.
Yeah.
And knowing how I'll react under things like in this situation now.
What'd you do to prepare or keep your soldiers' morale up?
Allow them to, the time that they had off was their time.
Yeah.
Do whatever they felt like they had to do, just be ready to do whatever we had to do if it happened.
Okay. That's a good answer. What do you need to do to get ready to redeploy?
Oh, pack up all that, making things, we're getting stuff ready for 50 cal mounts, stuff like that. A lot of packing and making sure my soldiers know what we're supposed to be doing.
Okay. What's it feel like knowing that you're going home? So
It's great. I can't even explain it. I don't know.
Has the morale improved?
Yes, yeah, it is. I think so.
All right, this is like personal questions. You don't have to answer it. It's about your family. Like, obviously, you already have a family. What are you planning on doing when you get back to work?
Making up for lost time.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot since I've been out here, where I failed with my family and things I need to pick up a little bit.
Do you notice that there's some things that you took for granted?
Yes,
before?
so there is a lot of things I took for granted that I won't now because of this.
How did your wife feel about the deployment?
She understood that I had to do that and it was something I felt like I needed to do, but it's still tough on her.
Yeah. What's the greatest thing you feel that you've gained from the whole experience?
Deeper appreciation for the things I had before.
Yeah.
And,
Cool. That's the last question.
that's it.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right, Sergeant Kelly, what is your name, rank, and job?
Name is Karen M. Kelly. I'm a sergeant, first of the 501st, and I'm a 68 November. We're now 15 November.
And what is your primary job in the battalion?
Responsible for the navigation, communication, and countermeasure instruments on the Apache.
That sounds good. Now, I know you're a leader of your section. What did you do to prepare your section for deployment?
This is my second deployment. I'll be at the longest deployment. First thing I emphasize is the integrity of our test equipment. Make sure we have the right tools. So you want to make sure you have the equipment so we can perform our jobs effectively. More importantly, what I emphasize is safety and sort of the monitoring, especially for leaders, the monitoring of soldiers. Long deployments wear on people. Safety standards can sometimes be jeopardized by the length of a deployment. People lose focus, lose concentration. So I think what we did prior to that is to make sure we plan for that. Make sure that in our interactions with our soldiers, and we have well, at the time we had one specialist, and now we have two. Make sure that the leaders always interact with them, see where their head's at before we tackle any tasks.
That sounds good. And outside of safety training, what other types of training, like ranges, we have to go to prepare for this deployment?
Yeah, that's tough because we think of these are basic things that we all have to deal with as soldiers. But in addition to what we're thinking about, what we technically need to do to keep these aircraft going, we also have to think of the things we have to do tactically to make us successful as soldiers. So, of course, that's part of any planning. And it doesn't make the challenge of being effective any easier, but nonetheless we do it.
And deployment to the Kuwait, what was the flight like? I know we had a great airline. What was it like for you?
The flight over? Oh, it was great. From what I recall, and the stewardesses, they were very nice. They made us comfortable. Because a lot of us, of course, were reluctant, leaving our families, leaving our homes, heading towards a long deployment. At the time, we weren't even certain as to how long it would be. So a lot of us were uncomfortable, a little disoriented. They helped out. They made us relaxed, made us feel good about being soldiers and doing our job for our country.
And what did you do as a section leader to once you got on the ground in Kuwait?
Well, I turned and said, we're a long way from home. And then after that, we got together, unloaded the bags, and sort of took account of where we are and just got ready as best we could for the challenges ahead of us.
And about your family, I mean, I know it was very hard to say goodbye. Tell us about that experience.
Wow,
That
that was tough. In that my wife and I, we have at the time we had one son, our first son, Michael, and we found out the day of our deployment that we were having another child. So we were happy in 1 minute, and the next minute, well, we knew I was going to be gone for the duration of the pregnancy, so it was very tough. In addition to that, for me, my wife developed complications, I believe, in our fifth through seventh. Actually, all the way up to the birth, we weren't sure about the number of complications we may have faced. But thank God, that worked out pretty well. And I do have to say that the chaplain was very helpful through that whole thing.
Oh, that's good.
As well as the commander and First Army West.
And going back to Kuwait now, what were the living conditions like, and what was the morale like at that time?
Hot. It was extremely hot and uncomfortable. It was tough on the morale because we were all making an adjustment in terms of the weather and so forth, and that really took a toll on us. But we kept it together. We survived it. I think that'll be the biggest memory. You hear most of the soldiers who have been here through the duration of the deployment, they'll tell you that the biggest memory is the purgatory, we call it. Hot.
Yes, it was. Now, you were in a convoy, right? You were in a convoy, or did you fly down there?
I was in a convoy. I believe I'm main body now.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, when you came down to Baghdad.
No, dark team.
Okay, dark team. So what was that like, coming down here in the dark team, and what was the experiences like?
Oh, that was funny in that because we, of course, we jumped into Black Hawks. We followed the birds, which is always exciting. We're behind the Apache formations. First, we were passing over just desert, barren, nothing.
Right.
And then when the region changes, now you have trees, you have grass, and we're all looking at each other like, how did that happen? And so there's a difference, of course, in the area and the weather. So it was amazing.
And when you got to Bayab, what was the morale like at that time for the soldiers and for yourself as well?
Well, for the dark team that came down here, of course, it's new territory for us. We didn't know what to expect. We had just seen just a week ago, a week and a half prior to us arriving there, well, I'll say a few weeks before that, we saw in the news Baghdad International being a main focal point of a big battle that was going on, and then here we are a few weeks later. So, you know, we didn't know what to expect. When we got there, we did run into the leadership for 3rd ID. They came in there, sort of got us together, helped organize us, and we just pulled our team together and waited for the rest of the group to come.
And how difficult was it to set up here? I mean, with 3rd ID being here and then right when they left?
Initially it was tough because we had, of course, our birds came before the main body came, and flying we had some maintenance issues that we had to take care of right away. And so it was a matter of introducing ourselves to the leaders, and at the same time, the leaders from 3rd ID, and at the same time saying to them, how you doing? I'm Sergeant Kelly from Avionics. By the way, I need, and sort of getting them to help you. And they were very helpful. 3rd ID did. The first few days was pretty tough for Avionics. We had to jump through our butts, and because we came up with a number of problems on the aircraft, but 16-hour days for the first, I'd say, 10 days until everything sort of evened itself out. I think a lot of our components, the countermeasure stuff in particular, it takes some time to adjust to this kind of environment.
It does. Yes, it does. We're about to redeploy now. So what are you doing to get your shoulders and yourself prepared to go home?
Again, same thing. Equipment, personnel. Unfortunately, one of my soldiers is in Balad. We were there together for about 7 weeks, and then I came back, so he's still there, so I'm still worried about him in terms of how he is. But we have a soldier here, Specialist Phillips, who's doing excellent, outstanding work. And she has her family, of course. She's doing military, so she has issues. I'm always constant dialogue, making sure she's okay. And her head is where it should be. She's great. When you put those things aside, now you concern yourself with just packing, pushing everybody to get closer to the dates as they're given to us from the command to get themselves ready. And just sort of trying to damper the excitement of your own family, because you know them, they want dates, times, and it doesn't work that way. That's what I'm trying to explain to my wife. So every night I'm sort of going through that seesaw with her, but I promised her that no later than May 3rd.
Yeah, May 3rd. So I'm sure, you know, when you get back home, you have some plans, or if you don't have any plans. But if things go right, what do you plan to do when you do get back to Germany?
The very first thing I'm going to do is hug my child, who I did get to see back in December, a few days after his birth. And now here he's really big. He'll be 4 months soon. And of course my big boy who started kindergarten. It's like this huge transformation of my family while I've been gone. My toddler is now a big boy who goes to kindergarten, and now I have a second son. And so that's the first thing I do. It's going to grab my boys. And yes, the wife too, honey, of course. And we're going to spend a lot of quality time with each other. We have a lot of making up to do.
And just one last question. What is the greatest thing you learned from this experience here in Baghdad, being here?
I think in terms of being a soldier or being an NCO here, wow, that your responsibilities are really never ending. And a big lesson is, and I'm always emphasizing this with all the soldiers, is leaders, especially first line supervisors, have to have a rapport with their soldiers. The mission depends on it, because you have to gauge and see where they are in order for us to be able to accomplish our mission. These pilots have to fly, these birds have to be maintained, there has to be high standards, not only in terms of their performance, but safety as well. And you, the first line supervisor, is responsible for making sure that happens. And the easiest way is to talk to these soldiers, because listen, this deployment doesn't happen without E4 below. They don't get enough recognition or support, I don't think. And you got to let them know that every day, that they're important. And you're out there with them, they're busting their butt, and you're right beside them. And that's what I learned.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Cool. Yourself. It's rolling.
All right. What is your name, rank, and job?
Sergeant Renee Conley, Unit Supply and Bills Company.
Sounds good. And what is your name, rank, and job?
Sergeant Renee Conley, Unit Supply and Bills Company.
Sounds good. And what is your function for this company? What is your function for the battalion?
Oh, to supplies for the unit.
And what did you do to prepare yourself and your soldiers for this appointment?
Well, I didn't have any soldiers at the time. So I just mentally prepared myself for a year being away from my babies. That's pretty much it.
All right. And what type of training did you go through to prepare for this, like the ranges and stuff like that?
Refiring and doing PT and searching, learning how to search the vehicles and people and everything over here.
And I'm sure that you had to get the supply system going for the battalion. How difficult was that?
At first it was real hard. We got pretty easy once everything got set up.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Now we took a very good flight to Kuwait. How was that like for you?
The flight. It was alright.
It was alright.
Same as usual.
Now that you are a section leader, what challenges are you facing now here in Battalion?
Well, with my people being spread out, trying to get them together to, like, get things done that we need to get done as a platoon or as a squad. But then we pretty much getting everything taken care of on time.
All right. And what obstacles do you face? Since we're here in Baghdad, and I'm sure the supply is back in America, which obstacles are you facing right now? And have you been facing?
It's just, trying to get the supplies that we need for the rear, like in the pack here, boxes and tape, and it's getting hard for everybody.
And we're about to go home now, so what is the morale like for you and your soldiers?
It's kind of so-so. I don't think they're going to get real happy until they know they're on the plane. So right now, it's just like, okay, we're here, we're going home.
All right. And you said you had 2 daughters, right?
Yeah, 1 boy, 1 girl.
Oh, 1 boy, 1 girl, I'm sorry. All right, and saying the names of your children, I'm sure they're very happy that they're going home. Tell us, you spoke to them lately?
A couple days ago, they're happy. They can't wait to see me.
That's good, that's good, that's good. And what is the greatest thing you gained from this experience?
The greatest thing that I did? Well, I'm glad I'm American, I'll tell you that much. I couldn't live over here. Well, that I got a better understanding of how Iraq is. I like I bet it was a real pretty place before we came over here. That's pretty much, I got a great perspective of how it is over here.
All right. I want to thank you very much for the interview, Sergeant. All right. And this is going to be a Battalion DVD.